episode of Seeing Sentai. I'm Mars Girl. We're still looking at, really, the very last episodes of J.A.K.Q Dengekitai. We're looking at episodes 29 through 35. And yes, these are the last 7 episodes of J.A.K.Q. You know what? Thank God. Thank God this nightmare is finally over. Because in the beginning, as I've said, this entire run, the beginning of the series was just fine. In fact, it was awesome. But you know what? My opinions never matter, do they? They really don't. In fact, I don't really know why anybody's listening to this. But somebody out there, surely somebody else agrees with me, right? Like one person, like the beginning was like, everything's so hardcore and awesome and crime's gonna come in and we're gonna take over Tokyo by running this hardcore crime ring with drugs and sex and violence and explosions and we're gonna murder all these people and you know, there was no overarching silly children's story of world domination or anything like that. No, it was just really a crime show that for some reason also had monsters and suits. And then they decided, you know what, this isn't selling, we're not getting ratings, it's not selling toys, we gotta completely and utterly change the whole thing. Thus we bring in Sokichi Banba, who becomes Big One, and you know what? Screw Big One. I said it, yeah! Screw Big One. I mean, Sokichi Banba, he himself, he's great, he's awesome. But I came to realize within the last 7 episodes of J.A.K.Q that really, as Big One, he serves little to no purpose. He really doesn't. Like I mentioned in the last episode, he doesn't come in and join the team and help them fight during big ol' fighting events. No, he only shows up to tell the rest of the group, hey, it's time to form the Big Bomber, and only then does he show up to throw in the missile into the Big Bomber and then blow the enemy up. That's all the purpose he serves. As Sokichi, he's awesome, he does costume changes, he's real smarmy, he throws flowers at people and it hurts, I guess. He's kind of a precursor to Tuxedo Mask in that regard, I guess. But otherwise, he as a suited hero serves no purpose. And it's very disheartening because I really thought like, oh, well at least if it's going in a completely different direction, at least he's just gonna be really wild and outlandish and out there, and it's gonna be awesome in some completely, utterly ridiculous, ludicrous sort of way. And it kind of wasn't. In some areas of the show, it did become that, but Big One himself, no, he was a letdown. I'm sorry, folks. He's not as cool as his suit design would have you believe. Your last 7 episodes do, in fact, focus on monsters as usual, so we're talking Chief Mantis, Great Priest Cobra, Sachida Khan, Battalion Leader Chameleon, Admiral Buffalo, Great King Icarus, and then finally we see Iron Claw's final form, the Warrior Iron Claw. Before I get to Warrior Iron Claw, let me go ahead and talk about just a couple of these other monsters real briefly, kind of just plow through them if I can. Most of the monsters, as usual, much like in Go Ranger, of course, the names will pretty much tell you what they are. Cobra, of course, is a snake, for example. But in that episode, that is where we have started to see the big bomber, you know, the cannon that finishes off the monsters at the end of every episode. That's where we see it does something new. Something a little closer to Go Ranger Storm or Go Ranger Hurricane, where the ball at the end turned into something completely and utterly stupid, and then hit the enemy, and then exploded. Now the big bomber does that, and it's so stupid. And when it shows up here to destroy Great Priest Cobra, it changed from a missile, and then turns into a dude dressed as a giant African elephant. Like, this is a children's birthday party costume elephant with a big old smiley face and a big old trunk. He just kind of jumps out of the air and then grabs a hold of the monster, and the Cobra's like, no, I hate African elephants, and then he blows up. What is happening to my wonderfully, overly, ludicrously serious show that is now overly, ludicrously not serious in some really random moments? Like, it can be so terrifyingly serious, and then an African elephant will show up, like a dude in a birthday costume shows up, and he blows people up. What even is this? In the case of Admiral Buffalo, he sends out some crimers as suicide bombers in order to hopefully destroy the members of J.A.K.Q, which is kind of a touchy subject as well. Luckily, the members of J.A.K.Q deftly dodge out of the way just before the bombers launch themselves at our heroes and then hit the ground and explode. Then comes in the suicide bomber dog. suicide bomber dog. Oh my god. So this dog comes running up with a bomb strapped on his back, and one of the members of J.A.K.Q, I think it was Jack, I'm not sure, the footage reel up there in the corner will tell you, I don't know. One of the members of J.A.K.Q, I think it's Jack, kicks the dog. He kicks this dog, and then it clearly becomes this stuffed animal that is neither the breed nor the size of the actual original live dog that they were using up until that moment in time. It flies up into the air, comes back down to the ground, lands, and then boom! Also explodes! So you just watch the members of J.A.K.Q kick a dog into the air and kill it as it blows up, making impact with the ground. It's like, really, some of the wildest things you see in these last few episodes. If you're in it for nothing more than these really stupid scenes, then, this show gives it to you. I'm not gonna tell you, no, don't watch it, because you're not gonna enjoy it. Somebody, I'm sure, enjoys it for those reasons. And yeah, those made me laugh. Those are probably the funniest thing. I almost want to cut together a compilation sequence of all the, like, dumbest, most ridiculous things that just rapid-fire succession one after the other, and those would be the best parts of J.A.K.Q, really. But the series ends, actually, on a two-parter. So, episodes 34 and 35, 34 is part 1 and 35 is part 2, which I don't believe had been done just yet. And this whole time, Crime had been operating off of a little island base, and Iron Claw has been sitting there on that base, and for the last several episodes he's been receiving orders from his great space leader up in the clouds by the name of Shine, and he's literally just in the clouds shining light down on him, and that's his leader. Nobody knows what he looks like. He just keeps sending aliens out to try and defeat J.A.K.Q. He sends out one other general to supersede Iron Claw, and Iron Claw hates this, by the way. And parts of episode 34 are kind of extreme. We've got Ace and Karen trying to get onto the island and figure out what exactly it is they're trying to do, and they're trying to formulate something called the Stardust Plan. And the Stardust Plan would suggest that they're going to attach enormous rockets to the planet Earth and then push it off of its axis or out of orbit or something to that effect, which would effectively kill all life on the planet as we know it, of course. Karen gets shot in the leg, so she can't go on. Ace continues, but he gets caught, so Karen has to go and save him even though she's been shot in the leg. Then as she's trying to save him, she gets shot in the shoulder and she's practically dying, and that's where that episode leaves off. But in the middle, in both episodes 34 and in episode 35, we see Iron Claw become Warrior Iron Claw, and you think, oh, he's gonna become his ultimate form now, and his ultimate form makes him look like he's cosplaying as a pachinko ball. He's just covered in shiny silver with this big old chrome dome head, and it's just kind of like, you guys ran out of money, didn't you? Or Toei started pulling the rug out from under you. Like, clearly, I mean, they got canceled, so I sort of wonder, they also probably weren't giving you money to finish your project either. And Iron Claw's basically like, I'm not gonna let some other guy come and kill the members of J.A.K.Q for me, I'm gonna do it myself. So the final episode actually brings back Joker. You remember, Joker was previously the leader of J.A.K.Q, who did not wear a suit or anything, but he kind of futzed off to New York while Sokichi Banba came in and sat in his chair and took his place. So now he has to come fly back in from New York and hopefully perform surgery on Karen that will save her life. Eventually he does that, there's a big old final fight, they fight off the last of the crimers, and now it's down to all the members of J.A.K.Q and Warrior Iron Claw. But before they have to fight Warrior Iron Claw, they're like, alright, that's it, we're gonna find out who Shine is. And here I am sitting here thinking, alright, we've been waiting this whole time to figure out what in God's name Shine even is. What is Shine? And they go to the base, and they go in the door, and they look up into the sky, and it's this stupid little robot satellite thing. It's so stupid, it's literally only this big with some little metal antenna sticking out from its little bulbous body. It has no powers, it has no ultimate form, it is simply that. The great leader of crime is a bunch of crap. And that's exactly what they present this evidence to Warrior Iron Claw like, hey, hey, you want to see your big great emperor? Take a look at this. And they throw Shine down onto the ground to where Warrior Iron Claw is standing, and he's holding Shine in his hands, and he's looking at this thing like, what in God's name was I doing with my life? Like, even the big baddie in this series himself is like, man, what a cop-out! This is such crap! This ending is so ridiculously bogus, so now we have to have this final fight, and unfortunately the final fight really just kind of plays out like the final fight in every single other episode of J.A.K.Q up until this point, especially the ones where, since Big One showed up. So they can't really beat him one-on-one, that's pretty typical, so they have to go pull out the big bomber, they shoot him with the big bomber, and it's not even something cool. It's not even a cool power that shoots out of the big bomber. The missile changes from a missile into a giant rat, and the rat bites Warrior Iron Claw in the face, and then he explodes. And it's not even a big explosion. It's like a normal-sized explosion, just like every single other explosion out of every single other monster up until this point in the series. And then they walk away into the sunset, and the series is over. There's no epilogue. It's much like Go Ranger, really, and much like a lot of other tokusatsu series, especially out of Toei, that I had seen up through the 70s and into the early 80s. They all kind of end like that, but just like, man, so cheap. It's such a cop-out. My husband Josh tells me that, I see this is your Hibiki, and I've seen a little bit of Kamen Rider Hibiki, which is what he's referring to, and I know a lot about the struggles of the Kamen Rider fan who watched Hibiki, and like Hibiki was so great up until a certain point where they decided they needed to shift the focus on making toy sales instead. And then the series suffered, and then it ended, and everyone was pissed off by the ending, and if that is the case, then absolutely yes, this is my Hibiki, because this ending was crap. I think I knew it was coming, but I wanted to argue with myself in my own head that it wasn't. I was really hoping that just because the direction of the show changed, that it would at least mean that it would be a different kind of ludicrous and weird. At least it would be an ending. That's not an ending, that's just them deciding to stop. That's lame. That is beyond lame, and you know what? Thank God it's over. Thank friggin' God it's over. And I'm sure Toei thought the same thing. Thank God we're done with this crap, because they wiped their hands of the franchise for a long time after that. And as you're gonna see next week as I do my vlog for the next series, Battle Fever J, they just took so long to get to Battle Fever J, because I have to assume, like, do we really want to try this again? The last thing we did was kinda crap. But they do it, and Battle Fever J, to my understanding, essentially saves Super Sentai as a franchise, and will in fact be the first to call itself Super Sentai. And then, we'll go back in later years and re-include Go Ranger and J.A.K.Q as well into those categories. But I don't want to get in too much on the topic of Battle Fever J just yet, but I do want to let you know, if you guys are planning on watching Battle Fever J with me, apparently from what I understand, subtitles for this series, the whole series, do in fact exist. I cannot validate or verify the quality of said subtitles, but you can probably make it through. As usual, no, I am not going to tell you where to find those subtitles. That is not within my means to do so. I don't think that would be a very smart thing for me to do, but I think most of you guys are pretty smart, and you can probably find out for yourselves or tell each other where it is you need to go to find these subtitles if you really want to be following along with me and joining in the discussion. That would be fun. That would be a fun thing for you guys to do, I think, and it would be fun for me to interact with you guys along the way, too. So, I'm really excited to be starting watching episodes of Battle Fever J. I hope you guys are as well. If you are a Patreon contributor, thank you very much for continuing to give assistance during this long stretch of, oh my god, what was this, as far as J.A.K.Q is concerned. But if you're at all interested in becoming a Patreon subscriber, getting names or a product or website of your own in the credits, or you would like for me to review something in particular for you, go ahead and check out patreon.com/JAKQ. /MarsGirl if you would like to also read my episode synopses of any of these episodes of any of the Sentai series I have watched up until this point in time. I'm doing them, trying to do them day by day over at marsgirl.tumblr.com. You're gonna be seeing updates practically daily. Sometimes if I'm behind, I'll do several episodes in a day, but I always get myself mostly caught up. Until next week, when we start talking about Battle Fever J, I'll be seeing you guys next time.